Be 16-year-old tard. Visit grandparents in a very rural area frequently. Go for night walks in the woods. Take cousin with me one night. Moon is really bright. Leave flashlight at home for more spooks. Decide to try a new trail we've never walked before. Get lost, of course. Roam around for hours trying to go the direction we came from. Fail miserably. Deep forest. Way darker than the part we came from. Smells like something died nearby. Smell comes from the very direction we're heading. Decide to still go there because we're convinced it's the general direction of our village. Come to a small overgrown field with an old, clearly abandoned house. These are pretty common in the area. Stop and try to get signal or check maps. No luck. Give up on saving battery and turn on phone flashlight. Go towards the cabin hoping to find a landline phone. Obviously it would be disconnected, but we were desperate. Dead animal smell is clearly coming from the house. There are some faint wettish sounds coming from the house. Would never hear it if not for the fact that the forest was completely quiet. Stop in the doorway whispering to my cousin that we should probably leave. Don't be a pussanon. F you, I'm going.jpg. First room is totally ruined. Someone must have searched it for valuables. Smell is pretty much unbearable, so go around the room as quickly as possible. No phone, of course. Go to the other room. Cousin right behind me. I shine the shitty phone flashlight into the room. It takes us a good few seconds to register what we're seeing. There's a badly decomposed carcass on the ground. Can't really tell what animal it is. 3 deer standing over it. They lift their heads up in unison. Their mouths are covered with brown decomposing blood. There's some kind of tissue hanging from one's mouth. One of these efforts turns towards us and stands on its hind legs perfectly upright. Fight or flight kicks in. I book it out the cabin after cousin. Turn around. One of the deer is standing. Yes, standing on 2 legs on the porch with tissue of whatever poor critter was eating still hanging out of its mouth. Cry and shit my pants a little. We run in a completely random direction, tripping over fallen trees and getting slapped in the face by bushes. Cousin runs face first into a huge spider web. He's terrified of spiders. Stops and starts yelling he can feel it under his shirt. Tell him to shut the fuck up. He does, sobbing slightly. We hear a faint sound of twigs breaking behind us. I shine phone flashlight into the brush. 3 pairs of eyes reflecting light in the distance. Run, cousin Anon, run. We keep getting effed by bushes. Whatever spider was under his shirt has surely fallen out or died from all the twig slaps we endured, but he keeps sobbing. After what felt like a marathon, we run out to a dirt road. Follow it until we see houses. See street sign pointing to our village. We're saved, Anon. Walk back to the village in complete silence. By the time we arrive, the sun is up. Cousin only speaks up as we step on the porch. Anon, did you see what these deer were eating? A decomposing animal. Why? There were scraps of clothing on the body. My face when deer ate a dead guy. Be me, 15 years old. Mother died when I was 12. Brain tumor. Horrible scene. But she was a truly evil chick and I lived comfy ever after with my dad, having not seen him for 3 years before her death because of her. It's the 90s. Dad doesn't finish work till about 6 p.m. So house to myself at the school. Watching TV alone. Massive crash from master bedroom. Like a brick came through the window or someone had fallen out of bed. I'm not scared. I feel angry. Frickin' furious. Charge up the stairs. Straight to master bedroom. The room my mom died in. Doors closed. Tear it open. There had been an enormous stack of board games on the wardrobe. Stacked neatly against the wall. They're all over the bedroom. Monopoly money. Trivial Pursuit question cards. Bits of Cluedo. Connect 4 counters. Battleship pegs. God knows what else. Whatever did that must have thrown those boxes in one go with such force they hit the opposite wall at about the same height they'd left the original wall at. 10 feet away. Suddenly terrified. Run downstairs. Straight to front door. Nowhere to go. Sit on step. Younger sister, about 13 at the time, comes home from somewhere half an hour later. Ask what I'm doing. Tell her. Doesn't question it. We go inside and back to the room. She is completely calm. Says we have to clean it up so dad doesn't worry. We do. Nothing else happened. Nothing like that anyway. Talking about it with sis years later. She goes quiet at first. Then tells me this kind of shit used to happen all the time in the house. Mainly electrical appliances getting turned on by themselves. Lights turned off by themselves. I don't know. But I saw what happened to those board games and there was no question in my mind at all that whatever did that wasn't human. Scared myself thinking about it now. Haven't thought about it for years. Just thinking about what I could make into a Greentext. Brought it back. Okay, wow. I didn't know that skinwalkers or goatmen or whatever were a thing. Allegedly a thing. so I always thought I was the only one who'd experienced something like this. Like maybe it was a hallucination or something. But after reading some of these stories, I'm starting to think maybe there's something there. Here's what happened. A few years ago, living with parents. Step out for a cigarette at about 2 a.m. Mom hated cigarettes. Had to sneak out back by the woods. Smoking. Notice my neighbor Sean down at the edge of the woods, looking at me. WTF. Wave at him. He just stands there. Suddenly it's hard to breathe. Like the air is thick. Kind of humid, I guess. And it smells the way pennies taste. Kick myself for being a scaredy cat. Take a drag from a cigarette. Smoke gets in my eye. If this happened to you, you know that it hurts like a bitch. I'm forced to close my eyes and rub them for a few seconds. Look up and Sean is closer to me. Like he'd walked from the edge of the forest, but now he stopped and standing still again. What was he doing in the forest anyway? WTF is going on? He waves, but it's like he's jerking his arm instead of moving it fluidly. Like he's not sure what he's doing with it. What the frick, what the frick? Put out the cigarette without taking eyes off him. Back into the door and go in. Shut the door, peek out window. He's staring right the frick at me. Closer to the house. Maybe 10 or 15 yards away. Lock door, sprint upstairs. Lock every door in the house. Go to double check every door. Double checking basement door. He's standing right outside the window staring at me. His jaw is kinda drooping. When I look at him, he does the jerking wave again. Scream with the force of 1,000 suns. Run upstairs. Encounter stepdad. He's like, WTF are you screaming for, Anon? I tell him there's someone outside. He gets his gun and checks. No one there. Ask neighbor about it at dinner one day. He doesn't know what I'm talking about. F skinwalkers. Be me. Around 5 or 6. Family moves into a new house. Small rural town. Out in the boonies and on the backgrounds. Some decent homes here spread out a bit. Neighbors on the right and directly in front of us. Houses under a giant willow tree, and during summers and on hot days, my sister and I would play under it and swing under the branches. House across the road from us is inhabited by an elderly couple. The old man and woman would always sit on the porch and watch us kids play. We got used to waving at them and seeing them wave back. Even my mother was in the habit to cheerfully wave. Few months go by. Stepdad befriends someone at his new work who lived in the house on the right of us some years back. Stepdad has let him know the house we're staying in and has casually mentioned how nice the neighbors across the street are. Man is confused. Begins asking my stepdad to describe the couple. Turns out the man knows of them. But to my stepdad's disbelief, he informs them that they both died together of carbon monoxide poisoning in the home some years back. Not long after, we leave the house. My folks still don't like to talk about it, and I was at such a young age that it's hard to remember the exact sequence of events. But this is based on my memories and what I've been informed by my 2 older siblings. Absolutely true story, and both my parents are still convinced we saw the apparitions of an elderly couple who were just really friendly. Sharing this because I found a similar story in the archive once, hoping to find others with a similar experience. Poor. Growing up in a rundown part of town. Lots of old warehouses and abandoned brick buildings. Tons of alleyways which are fun to explore. Have this girl who lives near me. Tells me she found a weird alley where she can't hear anything. Not sure what she means, so I follow her. She takes me to an alley that I've always avoided. No real reason, it just always creeped me out. Keep in mind, the neighborhood is not busy at all. Not many passing cars or anything. Plus, we're in an alleyway, so it's super quiet. But then as we're walking down the alley, everything goes dead silent. The girl stops, looks me in the eyes, and points to her ears. I nod, because I feel something like a pressure, similar to the feeling you get on a plane. Girl starts talking and shouting and stamping her feet, but I can't hear shit. I try to talk and can't hear anything. Feeling creeps me out and I turn to leave the alley. Notice I can't hear my footsteps until I pass a certain crack in the concrete. Then the pressure goes away and we can hear stuff again. We talked about it a lot after that, but I personally never went in again. Seems like this must have some sort of mundane explanation, but nobody has ever been able to provide one. My 18th birthday, October. Live out in the country in Tennessee. Dark as all kinds of fuck. Perfect chilly weather. Around 25 people all gathered at my house. We're playing manhunt. One guy runs off into the woods. Everyone else waits an hour, then hunts him with paintball guns. Plan on multiple rounds through the night. Couple rounds go by. No big deal. My 10-year-old brother draws the short straw. Almost didn't let him go hide, but he begged. What could happen? We tried to find him for 6 hours. Eventually find him terrified in a honey perch staying in a tree. Friend who found him said he kicked him in the face and almost knocked him off the tree at first. I ask him why. He tells me that he heard me trying to find him below the perch hours earlier. He peeks out. It isn't frickin' me. It isn't a frickin' person. It stayed below the tree calling his name for a few hours. Ran off when it heard us coming to actually find him. WTF, guys. I had a weird experience when I was 6 or 7. Get bus with mother and brother often because no car. Brother is 6 years older and we couldn't be more different. He's very roguish and uncontrollable while I'm the opposite. That being said, he's still my older brother and therefore a role model and someone I emulate or try to. Has this habit of sitting inside of the luggage rack, particularly if there aren't any seats. Pick is the closest I could find. It's that opening under the stairs. Obviously not allowed in there because it's for luggage. Gets told off every time he does it, but he doesn't care. Get on the bus this one morning with my mother and without brother. Awful day. Cold. Raining. Dull AF. Typical British weather. No seats, bus is packed, and half the stand. Only being young and therefore short. Everyone's damn coats are pressing against my cute little face. Feels horrible. F this, I'm going to chat it up in the luggage rack. Climb in luggage rack. This is a mistake. Severely claustrophobic and already lots of wet bags in there. If anything, this is more uncomfortable. People start throwing more bags in and now I feel like I can't get out. Stuck in the corner behind the driver's seat. Get this sensation like I'm falling and there's a light behind me. Grab onto what I can to stop falling. Looking over my shoulder. Hard to describe this part. It's like I'm looking down on a nice sunny bustling town, but no one there can see me. Realize I'm not falling. It's more like I'm being sucked into a hole and into this sunny inviting town. Next thing I know, someone has hold of my arm and pulls me from the luggage rack. It's the bus driver. Bus has stopped. My mother is crying because she couldn't find me. Everyone is staring at me like when Kevin McAllister F's up the kitchen in Home Alone. Get told off by both the bus driver and my mother. Were looking for me for a good 15 minutes. Couldn't have been in the luggage rack for more than a minute or two. Normal day walking around home. Start going down the hallway to get to my room. At the end of the hallway is a bathroom with a stained sliding glass door for the shower. See what looks like my brother standing in the shower clothed with the door closed. Call out to my brother. What are you doing in the shower, Nan? No response. Call out again. Suddenly, my brother starts slamming his hands against the stained glass. Anan, what the frick are you doing? Start walking to the bathroom at the end of the hallway. He's just banging on the glass over and over. As I reach the shower, he stops banging. I grab the door and slide it open. As the glass passes over my brother's image, he vanishes with the glass. No one is in the shower. Close the shower door. Nothing there. Hear the backyard door open and shut. Run down the hall to see who it is. It's my brother. Ask him if he was just in the shower. He looks at me like I'm tarded. Few weeks ago, lying in bed in the dark, fully awake but trying to sleep. Hear the cat walk into the room. Feel and hear him jump up on the bed and curl up between me and boyfriend. Cat's curled up behind my knees. Think nothing of it. Then think, is that definitely the cat? Scared. Muster up the courage to sit up and look. Cat's not there. As I'm typing this out, he just lifted up his head and stared at me. Be on a ship. Working at night alone. Hear singing coming from far away. When I look in the direction of the sound is coming from, it stops. I just ignore it for the next hour. Think maybe a fisherman singing. The voice starts becoming louder and louder. Sun is already rising. The voice is so loud coming right from right next to our ship. I go and check around. The voice stops. There is nothing. No boats, not anything. When the sun set, the voice stopped. I'm skeptic, but I can't explain what happened that night. Visit area my mother's family are from. Her brother and his family still live there. I'm about 17 at the time. Go wandering about outside. Isn't that hot, but then it feels like I'm on the surface of the sun. Everything looks and feels sort of like 2D. Think I have a heat stroke. See small pub. Go there for drink. Not alcohol. Pretty much empty and dated AF. See two guys at table talking. They look very familiar. Keep looking at them. They notice. Eventually, one comes over, menacingly, and asks why do I keep looking. Suddenly know who they are. They're my two uncles. It's me, Anan. Who? Your sister's son, Anan. Start reeing at me that sister's only 12. Very definitely not my uncles. Haha, just memeing bros, I'm a doctor. Boyish good looks gives this ruse away. Blood could be spilled. Run out the doors and back to uncle's house. Still hot as fuck. When I get back to his place, it doesn't seem so hot anymore. Have a peculiar first name. So much that no one calls me by it except for myself and my mother. And everyone else uses a shortened version. Like Jonathan and John, for example. except more rare. Haven't seen Uncle since I was a young ankle biter. We sit up back and start talking. Accidentally calls me by my full first name. Literally grimaces at it. Ask what's up with it. Tells me that back in the 70s, him and his brother were in the pub when someone called Dad started trying to dab on them. When they chased him out of the pub, he totally disappeared. My mother overheard him telling this to his parents that same night. My mother loved the name. To him, it was cursed. Don't know if I've always been cursed or if I somehow named myself. Live in an extremely old house. 3 stories including the attic. No one ever goes into the attic. Hasn't been open in about 10 years. I sleep in a room that is under the end of the attic. Every night I would hear thumps coming from upstairs, like someone was walking around or stomping. They were muffled, but I could hear them. Never think much of it. Figure it's a heater kicking on or something until a few years pass. We took all the carpet out of the attic so it was all bare wood floors. While it was open, I decided to go up and check out what's over my room. There was a noticeable indentation over the portion of the carpet that is above my room. It's in the shape of 2 half circles that come to points, and about the size of my hand. After they ripped the carpet up to reveal the flooring that's over my room, we found a ritual circle, pentagram with around 80 symbols surrounding it, all carved into the wood with dried blood and candle wax on each one. Now I'm really freaked out. All those years I've been hearing an actual thing stomp. After a few nights, the thumps came back. This time, instead of a muffled thump, it was obvious something hard was banging on the wood floor. Sounds like hoofs clopping on a patio. After they removed the ritual circle, they stopped for good. Still wonder what would have happened if I actually went upstairs during the stomps. Just moved out of parents' house. Sleep across from computer screen. Office chair is facing computer. Wake up. Someone is sitting in the chair facing the computer. Door locked, roommate not home. Nope my way to sleep. Wake up later. No one sitting in chair. Relief until I realize chairs turn towards me now. Nope. Turn every light on. Watch SpongeBob. F this eclipse shit, I'm tired of it. Let's get a proper X thread going. Post creepy, weird, and unexplainable stuff that happened to you or others close to you, but had no reoccurrence and never bothered you again. Can be Greentext or not. I'll start. Be Euroanon on work trip to Florida. Stay at resort with coworker for 3 days. Last night before checkout, getting drunk at bar. Coworker comes down the bar. Looks pale AF. Says he saw a ghost in his room. Clown on him. Agree to swap rooms for the lulls. Switch rooms. Go to bed and a few hours later wake up to noises in bathroom. Investigate the bathroom. Find nothing. Return to the room. See shadow figures sitting by my bedside. Stand there in disbelief. Blink a few times and it vanishes. It all happened so fast, but I know what I saw. I'm freaking terrified. It's almost 5 a.m., so I just stay awake. Sitting in the armchair looking at the bed for what seemed like an endless amount of time. Eventually it's time to get up, take a shower and go grab breakfast and pack up. Coworker and I never talk about this again. A few days later I did some research and it turns out we stayed at a haunted resort called Casa Monica. There have been many reports of hauntings there, especially on room 411 and 511. That night I slept in room 410. F that place and F Florida. Can't even sleep without getting harassed by shadows and shit. 2009. Be me. 18. Young, dumb metalhead in Greater Houston area. Go to concert with equally young, dumb metalhead buddy. Concert ends around midnight. Mill around for a while. Then jump in his car to head home. Car is shitty, but otherwise reliable Mazda sedan from the 90s. Drive home jamming to death metal and acting like tards. Eventually have to exit from highway to farm roads that lead to my neighborhood. Fields are pitch freaking black. No streetlights. Just darkness except for what old halogen headlights illuminate. All of a sudden, car just dies. Literally nothing is working. Clenched tight enough to taste my seat upholstery, but managed to pull off on his shoulder. Buddy and I hop out. I pop the hood to see if I can find what's wrong. He walks to the back of the car to try to get signal and call for help. As I'm feeling under the hood by potato phone light, hear Buddy walk up beside me. Asks what's wrong with it. Tell him I'm too tired to know. I then hear him again from the back of the car ask who I'm talking to. I look up and see my buddy's silhouette beside me in the moonlight. Then I look at the back of the car and see his same silhouette back there. I bail, fleeing into the nearby field. Eventually, we regroup and decide to return to the car where we can at least lock ourselves inside. Back at the car, no sign of not Buddy. Hop in, lock doors, turn key. Car starts like normal. Peel out and speed home. A week later, my buddy denies it ever happened. He kept denying it until we had a falling out about 10 years ago. He's disappeared and no one has seen them in a while. Be me, age 7. Mom left dad for an aging bassist in a shit-tier hair band. She ends up ODing on heroin a few years later. Whatever, F her. Only child. Dad raises me the best he can. Have no other family except an uncle that my dad refuses to talk to, and one grandpa in a nursing home. B14. Grandpa dies. Dad and uncle inherit about $2 million each. Grandpa had a textile company that he sold if you're wondering how he got rich. Saw uncle around that time because him and dad had to get all the shit in order with the grandpa situation. He's glad to see me. We talk and catch up a bit. Dad still hates his guts, but he never says why. He just mumbles under his breath as he changes the subject or pretends he needs to go do something around the house. I don't really ask about it anymore, but I did hear that my uncle did good with his money and started buying up land. Fast forward to high school. We find out dad has cancer in his throat. Try to be optimist, but it doesn't look good. Use up a lot of the money on treatment. I postpone going to college to stay with him so he isn't alone. Ends up dying when I'm 21. I have little under 10 grand in the house after all is said and done. Work shitty jobs here and there. Get a girlfriend. She cheats on me after 2 years. She lives with me so I can't kick her out right away. Say F it. Take an extended amount of time off from job and drive off to get away from the situation. Have no one in my life that is close to me now. Feel hopeless and depressed. Drive aimlessly around the country. Hit some famous places along the way. Grand Canyon, etc. See a bunch of tourists with their happy families. Get super lonely. Decide to try and find my uncle. Takes a lot of searching, but eventually I get a number of a guy that keeps an answering machine for my uncle. Apparently uncle lives off-grid in the cabin by himself and doesn't keep a phone or anything there. Anyway, don't want to hang around and wait for a call back. Drive to where he lives. Get to the guy's place who keeps uncle's answering machine. Old retired guy. Pretty friendly. He tells me there isn't a road to my uncle's cabin. There's only a trail through the woods. It's like 10 miles, so the guy lends me an old mountain bike and tells me I can leave my car at his place. I get my bag with all my essentials and thank him before I head out. Start wondering how uncle will react to me dropping in on him after so long. Kinda nervous. Pass a few ponds and small lakes. I can't believe uncle owns all this land. Get the cabin. Uncle is outside and staring at me like a psycho. He seems kinda paranoid. I yell to him and tell him it's me. He lines up a bit. Seems happy to see me. Get the "you've grown so much, didn't recognize you." Get inside and we start catching up. He makes some food. I tell him my situation. He says I can stay with him for a while. Feels good. Next day we just hang out. I see he has a ton of journals that he's been writing in every day since he was 10. My dad has some too, but he quit after a couple years. Uncle said I can read them if I don't mind seeing some mildly questionable shit. I guess he was pretty honest when he wrote. Spend a lot of time reading those journals, learning more about dad's family. Eventually I want to get some stuff that my uncle didn't have at his cabin, mainly beer. In the morning, go back to car and head to the nearest place for some supplies. Shitty gas station. Get back and ready to hit the trail again. Old man comes out and I talk to him a bit more. He asks about family history. Tell him dad and uncle didn't get along. He tells me dad might have something to do with a lake disappearance. What disappearance? Apparently a long time ago, this area was a popular camping and canoeing spot. People would pay like a regular campground and carry their canoes in there. Uncle used to live in a different spot, and he would come here every year when he was younger. Old guy tells me that one year a dude disappeared there. His tent was all torn up and there was blood everywhere. Only other person on record that was there was my uncle. There was an investigation and everything. My uncle got cleared eventually and the dude was never found. I asked the dude what he thinks happened, and he says he has no idea, and that I should ask my uncle what happened. This was really unnerving at the time. I figured this was why my dad broke off contact with my uncle. Head back to uncle's with the beer and other goodies. Not gonna lie, that information changed my image of my uncle. Decide not to bring it up right away, but I really want to know what his story is. We drink beer and just hang outside. I ask him if I could take out the canoe the next day. He says sure, but I can only go in specific spots. Don't bother asking why. He starts to make something for us to eat. I sit and read more journals. Decide to try and find a journal for the year that the disappearance happened. Start going through it when I get to a spot that had like 5 pages ripped out. And the way it looked seemed like my uncle had done it recently. All the other journals that I had looked through had all their pages, so I was pretty sure he did this at some point after I took interest in the journals. I decide not to bring it up. We eat and hang out some more and go to sleep. The next day I want to head out in the canoe and paddle around a bit. He gives me some pointers and tells me to stay only on this one lake. Okay, sure. I paddle around for a while, hugging the shore mostly. Kinda scared to go into deeper water. Eventually lose sight of the cabin. It's a nice day, lots of wildlife. I see an odd looking area offshore. There are a bunch of chopped down trees and it's really overgrown, but it looked like something used to be there. I decide to check it out and find out it's an old overgrown trail. Also, it looks like someone tried to cover it up with logs and debris to hide it. Too curious to leave it alone. Get out and walk through the thick vegetation. Follow what is left of the trail for about a quarter mile. Come out to a different lake. It is dead quiet. No wind, no animal sounds, no bugs. Get a super weird feeling like someone is watching me. Start walking out to the rocky shore. Realize it's way too quiet here. Even the water seemed to be too still. Decide to go back to the canoe and head back to the cabin. Uncle is out and waves to me. Ask me how it was. Tell him it was fun. Ask him about the other lake. His face goes blank as he looks off in that direction. Says he told me not to go to any other lakes. I tell him I just walked there. I didn't take the canoe over. He tells me to never go there again or I would have to leave. Tells me he doesn't want me going in the canoe again. He seems pissed. Okay, whatever. He disappears for a while. I decide to get more beer. Get back to cabin and Uncle still isn't there. I decide to hold off on a beer and make something to eat. Uncle gets back and he's pretty quiet. Things are kinda tense. I just end up sitting around till bedtime. Next day, Uncle's in a better mood. Apologizes for being a dick. We start drinking beer. He goes through most of them and loosens up a lot. I guess he really needed to take the edge off. I ask him why Dad and him never got along. He just kinda brushes it off. I ask him if it has something to do with the incident on the lake. He gets quiet for a moment and asks me what I know about it. I tell him what the old guy told me. He gets quiet for a really long time and just stares off in the direction of the lake with the overgrown trail. Maybe it was because he was drunk, or maybe it was because he was tired of keeping it to himself. But he told me where he hid the missing journal pages. He told me to make of it what I wanted, but that what he wrote was the truth. He got up and went for a walk. I went to the spot in the cabin where he hid the pages and started reading them. First page is from the day before his trip out. It didn't really have anything too interesting on it. Mostly a list of all that he took in his camping trip and what he ate in the weather, which he documented every day. The next 2 pages were from the same day. They were about him arriving at the park hoping he was the first person there that season so that he can camp wherever he wanted. He found out that there was already another guy out in the lakes who went in the night before. I guess back when the land was a campground it was a lot easier to access a lot of areas, so it didn't take long to get to the lakes with his canoe. He had a specific lake that he liked to stay at and he was hoping to have it all to himself, or at least his favorite spot, which was a small island in the lake. When he got onto the lake, he saw smoke on the island and a red tent, so he was disappointed that his spot was taken. Eventually, he settled onto a small peninsula that had some trees on it. The only other noteworthy thing from that day was that he never saw the guy walking around on the island, and eventually the smoke stopped. The last thing on that page was that Uncle planned on moving to a different lake the next day, because he wanted to be completely alone. The next day, he noticed that the guy hadn't lit a fire, and he still hadn't seen him walking around on the island and his canoe was still there. There was a storm rolling in that day and my uncle decided to stay at the spot for another night. He also wrote that during the night on the first day, he got up to take a piss. The moon wasn't quite full, but it gave off a lot of light. He saw what looked like a log standing straight up out in the middle of the lake. The last page had 2 days on it, one in the front and one in the back. The weather was horrible the next day, windy and cloudy. He decided to try and head out anyway, but ended up flipping his canoe and had to head back to shore. He made a fire and dried out all his gear and clothes as best he could. He set up his tent again and was in for another night. He also wrote that he still had not seen any movement or fire on the island, and that the night before he once again saw the upright log on the lake, but this time it had been closer, about half of the way between the first place he saw it and his campsite. He also noted that it was not visible during the day. From what I had read up to that point, I didn't understand what was so bad about this that he would try to hide it from me. That all changed when I read the last entry. The last night that he was there, the moonlight woke him up. He also had to take a piss. He got out of the tent in the cool night air to complete silence. The only sound was the faintest lapping of the water on the shore. As he was relieving himself, he noticed how calm and glassy the lake was, and then he saw it. The thing that he thought was a log stood at the very end of the peninsula. Now that it was on land, he could tell that it was alive. A pitch-black figure almost 7 feet tall, wearing what looked like wet robes. He crawled back into his tent, his heart racing, and pretended like it wasn't there. Then he heard the voice of a child in distress. "Can you help me? I'm lost." Followed by a low giggling and random whispers around the tent. "Shh, don't wake him." Then more giggling. This went on for what seemed like an eternity. The sounds of footsteps all around the tent, giggling and shushing. Just before dawn, he heard what he presumed to be the figure wading back out into the water. As soon as it was light out, he was already packing his things and heading back the way he came in. But first, he paddled up to the island to see if anyone was there. All he saw were the remains of the first fire, the tent torn apart on one side, blood everywhere, and strange symbols drawn on a big boulder. He reported the missing man, but he never told anyone about what he saw that night. After I was done reading, I just sat there until my uncle got back from his walk. "It's still out there," he said as he looked towards the lake. He said that he bought up the area over the years and tries his best to keep people off that lake. He says it's cursed. Be me. Late at night playing Halo 3. Balls deep at some king of the hill. I hear a knock at the door. The frick.png. Who the hell knocks this late at night? I go grab a kitchen knife and walk to the door. I look through the peephole. I see a skinny guy on the other side. Who is it? Danny. The hell is my neighbor doing knocking on my door? What do you want? Can I come in? No, sorry, bye. I go back to the couch to resume playing Halo. Knocking continues for a couple minutes and Danny asking to come in. The knocking stops. Go back to the door and see Danny still standing there. He's looking right at the peephole. His eyes are glossy. Danny begins to walk to another house. I turn off everything and go to bed. I bring the kitchen knife with me to be sure no weird shit happens. After a strange night's sleep, I wake up. After I get up and get breakfast, I realize something. My face when I remember that Danny had died 2 weeks ago in a car crash.